Well, hello. This is your host, Eric. We're back here in From the Depth. And today, my ladies and gentlemen, we will do the fantastic little thing of looking at a ship from someone we know very well. That is our own Borderwise. Or, I mean, I guess he is his own, but whatever. Borderwise's patron supporter, which I don't remember the name of, did request that Borderwise upgrade the Drakenslang. And if you do remember anything from the Gimle challenges, the Drakenslang 1 lost against the Gimle Mk3. The Drakenslang 1.5 won against the Gimle Mk3 and is in the official tournament. And if you want to know what happened with that, well, check out those videos because that's already out. The tournament will continue, however. Anyways, the Drakenslang Mk3 in the official tournament did lose against the Gimle Mk3. And it has like, it's a bit, the Mk2, it's a bit 50-50, but the Mk 1.5 managed to win. So, and that was a really long time ago. And finally, we have the Drakenslang Mk3 as requested by a supporter of Borderwise. So that's awesome. We just want to say big thanks to this supporter who requested this, because that means we can have more fun battles. The Gimle Mk3 is ready. You've seen that already. If you haven't, check out those videos. We're going to take a little look at the Drakenslang Mk3, however. It is quite different from the Mk2 or the 1.5. So, it is considerably shorter. It has a more classic battleship front, not the super pointy flat thing we had before. We do really use a lot of these propellers and hydrofoil type setup as we did before, so it is really built for speed. Oh, clever use of light blocks here, I must say, because that is not light blocks, that is deco. The propeller is hidden here. That's very smart though. That is very min-maxed and smart. Okay. So, the Drakenslang Mk3 has the most important feature of the Drakenslang, and that is the art museum. I would, however, implore that Borderwise install gold frames for the artworks, but other than that, it's a great little artwork museum. In any case, what are its armaments? If we look at it a little bit quickly, in alpha, as this is right now, it is clocking in at just below 2 million in cost. So it's actually pretty cheap. It could have costed 2.2 million, but it doesn't. Well, under 2 million, we have a top speed of 82 meters per second. That's usually what we see for aircraft, but no, this is a battleship. A 2 million battleship going that fast. And it uses basically only APS. This is an APS heavy girl, and it has a little teaser laser up here. That's, I don't think it does a lot. I mean, it's a laser. It will do damage, but it's really an APS design. So if we check out the different things, we have AP Frag Bernie. Well, that is an apt name, I must say. EEDs are installed, very nice. Base bleeder, pretty like standard setup. I'm assuming this is rail assisted, I may be wrong, but I'm gonna check that later. Then we have 500mm diff, whoops, sorry, and that is armor piercing. Okay, so we have damage diffs. I guess we don't have, unless there are guns with diff installed on it. And this is not rail assisted, it's pure railgun. Pure gunpowder, and that is more optimal in terms of damage per price paid, to be quite fair. So that is nice. If we should do a little check of the armor. I think we can begin with doing a left and right cut. So we can see here that we have, it's mostly an alloy and wood design. So that is a combination commonly used for airships. So I haven't seen many battleships with it. This def gun is really in a vulnerable position. I can't speak. And down here we have the classical spread out engines in small cubes that Borderwise loves to use, which is a really good way to set things up too. Alright, we actually have not a lot of armor. 46% is the cost. It looks like most of the armor has gone to defend the heads of the turrets. And we have a nice necklace turret design that is very, I will, what to say? I'm happy you do that. That's a smart way to do it. That we can agree on. Okay, so that is very interesting. Properly EMP protection there too. Well, excuse that. Anyways, this has a lot of armor, I realized. You can see it from here. That we do have like very heavy sides of alternating, is it wood slabs and alloy slabs? And then we have a piece of heavy armor as a spall liner. We don't have any full air gaps here. So from a quick little check of the Drakenslang Mk3, I would really say that the way to defeat the Drakenslang is definitely plasma, but, well, the Gimle doesn't have any plasma, so don't you worry about that, Borderwise. So the Drakenslang Mk3 has proven to be quite effective in combat, and I think it will have a really good chance of winning over the Gimle Mk3. The Gimle Mk3 has a few tweaks that make it less vulnerable than to the Drakenslang Mk 1.5, for example, and that is that its railguns doesn't now only aim underwater, which makes it have a better chance. Well, I think we should get into combat. And the Gimle Mk3 has been assigned the Holy Metropolis Protector Fleet. Alright, so here we have the combatants spawned in. We got the Drakenslang Mk3, I cannot speak today, with the Gimle, aptly also Mk3. So this will be highly interesting. Let the battle roll. And the Gimle waits with firing a little bit. And now all the weapons are firing, since it indeed did take a little bit of time for it to... Whoa. Shells are not rendered here. So that was the Arcobalista Indomitus. And we do have the smoke triggers here. Well... So we've got some really scary guns here. But the one thing, don't know, why are we not rendering the shells here? I guess we are in degraded mode, are we not? Perhaps, I don't know. In any case, the Drakenslang is really having pretty scary APS frag shells. They keep coming in here and digging big holes. You can see the Drakenslang is in the lead with about the percentage. And that... Oh, it's still in the lead by a percentage, but both lost the percentage. This is a pretty hardcore battle, I must say, my ladies and gentlemen. Laser are doing burny things. It looks like the Drakenslang doesn't rely on a lot of active defenses. It seems to No, we didn't see any of that, right? I don't think it uses active defenses. It's going all damage and being evasive instead. And fast. Really fast. Like, you're not gonna shoot this thing down with torpedoes. Oh, definitely not. Gimle is at 94%, so the Drakenslang is holding its 2% lead. Very interesting indeed. Laser is really burning on to the side here. I don't know if it's focused enough on the same spot to do lasting damage. We can see that fire is being created, and that fire is of course being fed by the great speed. But as shown before, that is not enough to take down the Drakenslang. We've seen that in earlier battles with its predecessor, the Mark II, the Mark I, and 1.5. And you may wonder why the Gimle Mk3's crams are doing a much better job at hitting. Well, they are doing a much better job at hitting because they are area detonated using laser. Yeah, you know, the little block that sets timed fuses to a nice timing. So they basically explode in the vicinity of the enemy. The Gimle's Mk3 crams are actually a little bit weaker, but they are harder to shoot down and they are more reliant on fragmentation damage exploding around the enemy if it doesn't hit. The mortars are fused by low altitude, so it's really only a threat against ships. And here we have the Drakenslang zooming by, doing a pretty good job. The Gimle is down to 87%, where the Drakenslang is at 93. So we're really upholding our great lead here. Look at that. Laser is menacingly attacking the art center. Isn't that a war crime? Well, Gimle Mk3 is going pretty low. Wow. And frag is really a smart weapon to use against the Gimle. Fragmentation is exactly something that does a lot of damage against wood and other low health blocks. Interesting indeed. Gimle at 84%. We are losing health fast over here. We seem to have a little bit hard time of even keeping ourselves over the water. I do think our engine power is a bit out to not be able to float at a nice level. I also suspect that the auxiliary AI area that controls altitude float may be blown out too. The Drakenslang is looking pretty neat. We are upholding a good speed. And it's really evasive. It goes back and forth like that and basically snakes its way over the water. Isn't that quite fitting? (81 versus 91%. Well, I'm a little bit concerned why it doesn't display shells, but I hope that will be fixed after the next battle. We are going to restart the game between this battle and the next battle so we can see the shells properly, because this looks weird. I don't think it affects the results, however, because I can see them doing their damage as they should. If I thought it would affect the results in any way, I would of course just restarted the battle and said that this one is invalid. But I'm going to say this one looks quite valid. We have a cram shell coming in here. I wonder, like, they are doing damage against the Drakenslang, but not a lot of damage. And that's because they seem to have an issue of hitting target on. So that's an annoying thing when it comes to area detonated crams. They rarely do optimal damage. They often do some damage, but they rarely do optimal damage. And that is really not great. And also, of course, the Drakenslang is great at being quite evasive, so it dodges a lot of the shells by squiggling, using jaw back and forth like that. I think it's some smart breadboard setup, indeed. Oh, Drakenslang is down to 88%, but Gimle is at 75. Look at that. Nice, nice. Yeah, I think the laser is creating some interesting fires over there, but will it be enough? I don't think it will. It looks like the Gimle Mk3 will not be able to defeat the Drakenslang Mk3. I can't say I'm surprised, but it is best of 3-2. So we don't know how much luck it may be and how much of it just being the Drakenslang Mk3 is a superior battleship. Oh, looks like the dodgy floating up and down thing from the Gimle is working. You could see it adjusted its altitude there. So that means it's just very damaged. Look at that. Those interiors, my ladies and gentlemen, are very sad. It's fully functional, however. But so is the Drakenslang, zipping by at 86%. Look at that. It's having a jolly time. Drakenslang's predecessor had a lot of important bits in the middle, and that was, among others, the AI and stuff. So when you shot at that area, you could like Brit the Drakenslang, and this is a thing that Borderwise has fixed. In the middle of the Drakenslang Mk3 is basically nothing. Empty space, void, which means that it's very much harder to crit. Oh, the propellers on the propellers on the starboard side, I had to think, starboard side of the Drakenslang is being heavily targeted because we have some hot blocks there, and the laser goes for hot blocks. Look at that. The Drakenslang is almost out of control. Look at that. No, it can still maneuver itself. It can still maneuver itself. It looked like it helplessly jawed, but it has enough redundant systems to be able to nicely maneuver anyways. Well, that was good, because that would have been a really close call for the Drakenslang here. Well, it would also meant a complete victorious moment for the Gimle, so we'll see how this develops. The laser isn't really like... I think I know from spawning the Drakenslang that she is well smoked. She is well smoked and will not be easily killed by spamming a lot of... Oh, the superstructure has gone down. Is that not a epic scene to behold? Oh my. Gimle class is down to 63%, where the Drakenslang Mk3 is at 84.7. Very amazing. I'm very impressed by the Drakenslang Mk3's performance. It is considerably improved from the predecessors. I must say that. So we'll have to congratulate Borderwise for constructing a worthy upgrade. Well, this little tournament thing is nevertheless best of 3. And I didn't actually check if the Drakenslang Mk3 did follow the official rules. I think it kind of does, because the 1.5 did. But I'm not sure. I think the Drakenslang Mk3 also followed the official Gimle rules. So I'm suspecting the Mk3 one does as well, but we are not checking that because, you know, the applications for the Gimle tournament is closed since a long time ago, so it will not be entering the big tournament that's ongoing, as you may have suspected. But in any case, it's gonna be very fun to battle with this thing. Look at that. We have burning action. Really targeting the guns here, but they are not budging. And the Drakenslang just takes all that damage. Look, we basically have no propellers left on the starboard side. And yet, it has no problem maneuvering. It has no problem zipping by here. At a slower speed, yes, but not a big deal. It's burning materials, though. Oh my, it's burning materials very hard. 58%. We need to check the Gimles. This is definitely the last moments of the Gimle for the first little battle. Wow, they really grind each other down here, but the Drakenslang has done most of the grinding in this battle. Look at that, and the Gimle is about 1.1% away from despawning. Wow. Well, we can clearly say that there is almost zero chance that the Gimle class wins the first battle, and kind of 100% chance that the Drakenslang wins the first battle. So, 4, 3, 2, 1, and win. Oh wow. Congratulations to Borderwise, the first battle goes to the Drakenslang Mk3. Well, let's see what happens in the next. This is best of 3. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for round 2. It is even a new day, so hopefully the game will be very fresh today. Anyways, we will let the battle run here and we will see. We do got the shells, isn't that nice? That's a bounce. I need to watch the Arquevalista Indomitus. There we have them. And we will now go to slow motion because I want to see them firing in action here. Where are they even? Here they are. There we got the hollow point, and here we got the penetration one. And now you can see they are not aiming below the water. They are aiming wherever. And here you can see we are, oh, not going that far. And there we got destroyed. Let's see here. Here the shell did get destroyed. Okay, so it just shot a bit of the side here, nothing important. And then the follow-up with a hollow point does tear out some surface level armor. Well, we should get back to full speed. It's just very fun to see them. Our lasers are trying to burn as best they can. There you could see a barrage of diff damage coming in there. We're gonna see where the Drakenslang Mk3 is aiming right now. Is it aim underwater? No. Oh, here in the front. Okay. Looks like we have a rather steep angle here. The Gimle is desperately trying to turn to hit it, but it does not really manage to do that. Alright, it looks like we are going to be encircled. It's pretty even, this battle, but right now the Gimle is slightly in the lead. And I feel that the Arqueballista Indomitus S have the greatest chance of turning the tide here, but that is only if they hit something important. And Drakenslang Mk3 is pretty well armored. Only being armoring the important bits. And it's very redundant too, I must say. Borderwhite has done a good job here of making a worthy upgrade of the Drakenslang. But it is the upgraded Gimle it is facing. And the upgraded Gimle just plays a nasty hit here on one of the main guns. It looks like it's like the middle. Okay, it changed the gauge here. I suspect it's a little bit less functional now. One of the barrels seemed to be offline. But the Drakenslang has gained the lead. Oh! I almost thought that the mortars would hit there. Alright. Is it just me, or is the Gimle strafing a little bit here? It should be fixed so that it turns the azipods the right direction now, of whenever it goes backward or not. It's a little bit slow turning. Gimle is down to 88%. Okay, come on now, Gimle. Show what you can do. It feels like the angle of attack is kind of stalled to this position. That's possibly because the Drakenslang has taken some damage, so that it no longer is as fast as before. Possibly. Oh. It looked like that got shot down. Did I completely miss the Drak having some anti-munition system? Maybe I did. I don't think so, but maybe I did. The lasers are being quite off here, but the Drakenslang is also approaching and going further away to kind of trick them. There we had a bit of a lag spike. I think something happened over at the Gimle side here. We are looking looking like the surface layer is being a bit shredded here. Ram cannons certainly have suffering accuracy now. 81 versus 90%. The Drakenslang is in the lead. Oh, but that was a pretty nasty hit here. The blocks went away a bit too quickly there due to, I guess, lag. The diff gun seems to be alive and well here. Gimle is down to 79%, where the Drakenslang is at 89, so it's keeping the 10% lead. But one of the front guns are it's still functional. It's very redundant, I must say. Even though it's taken a hit, it can still do damage while not optimal. There you could see a little hit by one of the cram shells coming from above the mortars. Looks like one of the cram cannons is pretty damaged. Alright. 76% versus 88. Drakenslang is closing in here on a pretty steep angle. And there, was that anything important? No, that's just armor. The arquebalistas just hit some armor. And the mortars are desperately trying to hit anywhere reasonable to shoot, but they seem to be failing at this. Wow, Waterwise really made really redundant APS cannons. Well, you look at that. And we are kind of keeping this angle of attack here. Oh, and our arquebalista in the front here seems completely dead here, has no gauge. Oh, the barrels are so short here. That is not good news for the Gimle. I'm a bit worried though that the Drakenslang will wander off too far and start gaining penalty points. Well then. I think this is a decoy cram. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's just a damaged cram. 69%, Gimle is down 2, but the Drakenslang is at 87. Well, it's not looking too good for the Gimle class. The Drakenslang is almost a 20% lead. Keeps shooting shells at the Gimle. And we haven't had a great cram hit in a while. And that's probably because the crams are pretty damaged. Laser is burning, but looks like the Vigoletta marksman is down here. That is pretty bad news for the Gimle, going down to 65%. Oh my. And not able to use all of its firepower due to this angle. People have said to me that the Gimle really needs to be more agile to not die. And those of you who said that, well, you are right. It's just hard to make the Gimle agile enough to meet the demands put by an airship or a hydrofoil. But there is something to be said for a little bit more agility of the Gimle class that would really make it a lot better. Drakenslang down to 85%, but yeah, we have seen a couple of good cram hits come here against Drakenslang, but they haven't hit good enough. The APS cannons are very redundant, so they have been evidently very hard to take out. very good design here from border-wise on those APSs. And the evasiveness too that the hydrophoto comes with is quite hard to match. Oh, we are lagging a bit. Are we losing anything very important here? Oh, those poor crabs, man. Look at that. 59%. Well, I think it's going to be quite clear here that the Drakenslang Mk3 is a very worthy upgrade. The Gimle Mk3 is not able to meet its evasiveness with evasive enough guns, and it's not able to outmaneuver its maneuverability to be able to stay at optimal firing angle all the time. The Gimle's lower firepower due to the upgrades to meet more agile targets did not pay off versus the Drakenslang Mk3. The Drakenslang Mk3 has won the previous battle and this battle and is thus the winner of a best of 3 match. So big congratulations to Borderwise for that. We must certainly put one of our in construction right now battleships against the Drakenslang in the future, because the Gimle will not defeat the Draken. Wow, that was a blast. But we will have the third battle anyways, because we want to see if the Gimle had any chance of winning, or if it was the result that will be each time. We have it as a best of 3, and that is to make it a little bit more fair. If a vehicle win 2 out of 3 times or 3 out of 3 times, we can certainly say it's a very high likelihood that it is superior. But when we have a 101, we leave a little bit too much space for luck. So only deciding by one battle we rarely do because of that. Anyways, let's go to the third battle. And here we are. The Gimle also has considerable cost put into active defenses, and they are completely useless against the Drakenslang. Wow, the Drakenslang opts to go for... No, I thought it would go for Gimle's weak side. And now the timers for the guns had run out, so they can finally fire with higher accuracy. I just want to know, did we hit anything fun here? Here we have, okay, look at that, look at that. No. Seems we hit armor. Oh. That's a good dodge from the Drakenslang, I'll tell you that, wow. That cram blast was absolutely devastating if it had stayed at, you know, they are laser detonated, basically airburst. They want to explode inside the enemy, but that is if the enemy hasn't evaded too well. Oh, whoa. Looks like the Gimle may have disabled one of the main guns this early on. That is most likely to be a kill of the... not the local weapon controller by EMP, because it seemed to be properly EMP protected, but definitely the... well, I don't know. Maybe just fragments took the local weapon controller. That could be it. Coming in for another blast here. Bam. this time the laser has decided to burn very much on a turret. Gimle is doing considerably better this time, being able to land a nice cram hit versus one of the main turrets disabling it, and the laser deciding to target the other turret, which has halved its damage, it seems like. The Gimle is materially, however, not in the lead. It's down to 92%, so we must go and see in what state we are battling. And look at that. We are riding pretty low, having this suboptimal firing angle once again. Well, we can't be too surprised, because this has happened in the previous battles as well. Well, let's go and see what's happening over here. 95% still. Its speed of grinding down will be a bit affected due to some turrets missing. There we got a nasty cram hit as well. 94%. The Gimle is down to 87. Well, Drak is just zipping by here, having a good time. I'm just curious where these cram shells are gonna land. Oh, that's so off. The Gimle is at 85%. Draken has assumed a 10% lead, which is a significant number, which will usually count on as probable to win when a combatant has assumed a 10% lead. Not always though, but probable. Looking a little bit here in slow motion what the damage is doing. We can see the shells are coming in here, and if we just pause a little bit and look, okay, this is explosive. Oh wow, that's a nasty shell. That is much approved. Secondary charge, fragmentation. Very nice. Oh, look at that. And they just come in here. Look at that. Shredding things. Oh, that over-penetrated. As is meant with the superstructure. Basically is what it does. Well, 93 versus 81%. Go back to full speed. Oh, we have a diff barrage coming in here. That must have been a while ago. Oh, completely off detonation, however. Okay. $79 versus 93. Really looks like the Gimle is losing 3 of 3 battles. So most likely the Drakenslang Mk3 is just very nicely built to counter the Gimle. Even the Mk3 version. The upgrades to deal with a little bit more evasive targets, well, it cannot really deal with the Drakenslang's tactic of hydrofoiling to the side, making it almost stay behind the Gimle. It does not encircle the Mark III because the Mark III is it's turning faster than the Mark I. It also has boosted speed thanks to the stick-on motors underneath here. So it has boosted speed and boosted agility, but that makes it, well, not encircled, but it makes it kind of stay at the behind a little bit suboptimal angle here, where all of the guns may not be used. So that's a really good tactic from the Drakenslang, really making sure that the Gimle really can't deal all its damage. But most of the not dealing enough damage comes from the Drakenslang's fantastic ability to just be evasive. It basically changes the distance to the Gimle continuously, and this makes the laser targeters not be able to find a proper detonation place. Why most of the fragmentations are aligned at a less optimal place. Gimle is at 72 and Drakenslang is at 91 still. Well, I think it's time to say big thanks to the commissioned officers in the Army of GMODISM and, of course, Chancellor Super Dave in the Imperial Government. So, our officers are Admiral Dragon X62, Commodore the All-Round Gamer, Commander Ali, Commander Ben Wilkie, Commander Cameron Dixon, and Commander Sven van der Velde. Our lieutenants Anto Cravey, Flars Dagen, Daniel Saikin, Owen, Parberg Reed, Vincent Veritas, Volkite, Rick Proel, and Scooby Rocks. Big thanks for supporting the channel every month, and also big thanks to all of the cadets. Then also thanks to the Ecclesiarchy of GMODISM YouTube members, who probably saw this video earlier than everyone else, which is basically the main perk available from the lowest tier. But there are higher tiers if you want to support the channel more, where you of course get some extra benefits. The Gimle just exited the funny number and gone down to 67. Well, good game border-wise. This was a great little battle. It was cool to see that these upgrades you made to the Drakenslang Mk3 just makes it completely dominate the Gimle Mk3 as well. I don't know if this was a harder win than versus the Mark I. I think it was a little bit more difficult for the Drakenslang, but not a lot. Its evasiveness just sweeps the floor here. So I am constructing some new battleships, however, and those will absolutely be put against the Drakenslang Mk3, and we'll see if they can deal with this evasiveness, because they are not evasive ships either. Will be very interesting. But one thing that I would also say, if you haven't seen that or listened to that, me and Borderwise has a nice little podcast episode which you should check out, and hopefully Borderwise will want to join for future podcast episodes as well. It's there from the Depth podcast. Well, the Gimle is about to despawn pretty soon-ish. So here we are, 57%. The Drakenslang did not go off too far either, so I was worried it would be a little bit infringing the rules, because it's using the official Gimle rules for the battle setup, and if you go too far away, you'll get penalty points. But it did not. The Gimle is quietly trying to fight on without its superstructure, but it would need to be extremely lucky in order to hit a to hit the thing that would make it actually win. Oh wow, and as we say that, the Gimle lands a shot on the Drakenslang, shaving off 2% it looked like, but it's like 0.3% away from the spawning, so it wasn't the AI it shot out, and there it goes. Well, that was a great blast. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and if you did, please leave a like. And go and watch Borderwise's video with the Drakenslang Mk3 versus the Gimle Mk1 if you haven't already. In any case, I'll be back with revenge with some future battleships some other time. This is your host Eric of the GMODISM Empire, signing out.